Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Richard and Diana and all the team at the Home Office for putting this together. As has already been mentioned this morning, clearly our thoughts are with those in Brussels who've been affected by the events. I would like to echo the sentiments of the Prime Minister, who has spoken of his shock and concern, and we will await information urgently through the course of the day. Let me turn to the reason that we're all here today. And I'd like to extend my special appreciation to all of you and the colleagues who have traveled here from the UK and overseas, and welcome you to this important dialogue. We've got delegates here today from a broad range of backgrounds, from law enforcement to academia, to the industry, voluntary sector, and governments. And over the course of the next 2 days, we'll hear from more than 30 speakers who will provide expert opinion and perspective on crime prevention, how crime is evolving and adapting in a changing technological landscape, and how crime prevention must change as a result. These changes represent both challenges and opportunities to leverage the scale and global nature of the connected world for better, more effective crime prevention. And tomorrow, the Home Secretary will be with us here to launch the government's new modern crime prevention strategy, setting out our newest approaches to tackling and preventing crime in 2016. In the UK, and indeed across much of the Western world, we have witnessed a dramatic fall over the last 20 years in what you might call traditional high-volume local crimes, such as burglary, car theft, and street violence. The Independent Crime Survey here in England and Wales shows that there were 19 million such crimes in 1995, compared to 6.6 million by the end of 2015. Crime prevention has played a significant part in that reduction, and we must recognize that prevention, whether through the introduction of better car and home security measures, more effective policing tactics, local neighborhood watch schemes, CCTV, whatever the innovation, has been extremely effective. This is a result of the combined effort of government, law enforcement, manufacturers, retailers, town planners, the voluntary sector, and of course the members of the public. But as crime has fallen, it has also dramatically changed. And as a result, we now face significant challenges. Advances in technologies offer criminals, particularly organized criminals, the scope to commit new types of crimes on an unprecedented scale and across jurisdictions. So the question for us here at this conference is, how do we address crime that is being catalyzed by the internet? The internet, as you know, has no borders, and perpetrators today can target thousands of potential victims with a single keystroke and without ever setting foot in this country. And how do we tackle victimization? Today, more and more vulnerable people are becoming victims of online crime, and access to information and greater awareness online has resulted to many more people coming forward to prevent or to report crimes. Often these crimes, such as child sexual exploitation, domestic abuse, and slavery, have been underreported in the past. Coming forward takes incredible courage, and we need to support everyone who does so. And we need to do more to prevent this kind of victimization and stop these crimes from happening. And we must ensure that we stay apace of the changes in crime by putting in place new law enforcement systems that not only combat these challenges, but also help us anticipate the ever-changing face of crime in the digital age. These challenges are reflected in the conference themes, with today's session focused on preventing crime in the digital age, and tomorrow's focused on shifts in preventing crime against the most vulnerable people in society. Let me start with a few words about how we are using data and technology to prevent new internet-facilitated crimes. The use of data is a force for growth and vital to the expansion of the global economy. Technology enriches people's lives and offers opportunities to our children that we as parents have never experienced. But whilst technology empowers the curious, the creative, and the compassionate, it also empowers the criminal, the corrupt, and the corrosive, opening up new opportunities for criminals to commit both financial and other crimes. Crimes often perpetrated behind the cloak of internet anonymity. As Chief Constable Kavanaugh recently said, and I'm grateful that he's here with us today, the victims of online abuse are often unable to articulate what has happened to them. They are often not clear what offense, if any, has been committed against them and what they can do about it. But make no mistake, this abuse can and does ruin lives. This is why social media companies and technology providers must have robust processes in place to act promptly when abuse is reported, including acting quickly to assess the severity and urgency of each report, to remove content which does not comply with their terms and conditions, and where appropriate, suspend or terminate the accounts of those breaching the rules in place. The Home Secretary will outline tomorrow how industry plays a significant role in modern crime prevention. For example, the Home Office will undertake assessments of emerging technology and convene manufacturers and other experts to consider how to design and eliminate more crime risks. We have already undertaken such efforts in the car industry to identify technical solutions and so-called keyless electronic theft of vehicles and systems that to prevent the electronic theft of vehicles. And I'm delighted that we are joined by representatives from the BMW Group today, who will take part in the proceedings and share their success stories and forward plans. Another significant challenge involves the internet facilitation of financially motivated crimes. The Office of National Statistics is leading the world in developing robust measures of the scale of fraud and cybercrime. Initial figures that were published last year suggest that there could be up to 5.2 million cases of fraud each year and 2.5 million cyber crimes. That does not necessarily mean these crimes are rising, as some have claimed. In fact, previous indicators of plastic card fraud suggest it has fallen by around a quarter after the introduction of chip and PIN. But it does make clear that the scale of the prevention challenge that we all face. Robust cybersecurity underpins the entire digital economy, and it is our duty to keep citizens, businesses, and our public services safe. The UK is a world leader in the use of digital technologies for e-commerce, and so we must be a world leader in cybersecurity, as well as online payment systems and protecting those as well. Last year, the Chancellor announced government plans to invest $1.9 billion in cybersecurity over the next 5 years to ensure that Britain is one of the best protected countries in cyberspace. But as of late, we have seen that the pace of innovation in criminal cyber attacks is breathtakingly fast. In fact, the truth is that we have to run just to stay still. Later this year, government will publish the new National Cybersecurity Strategy. This strategy will strengthen the UK's leadership position in the next generation cybersecurity agenda, helping us meet our ambition and ensuring that this country is one of the safest places to do business online. Allow me to highlight some of the elements of this strategy. On a national level, we will create the National Cybersecurity Center, which is a single agency that businesses can go to for advice and support. The center will be a unified source, replacing the current array of bodies with a single point of contact for business and consumers. The center will also have a strong public face and will work hard hand in hand with industry, academia, and international partners to keep the UK protected from cyber attacks. We must be able to defend ourselves online, disrupting the digital marketplace and ensuring that those who commit offenses can be brought to justice. This includes boosting the capabilities of the National Crime Agency's National Cyber Unit so that, in partnership with our counterparts all across the world, we can attack the assumption among too many that cybercrime is risk-free and comes with little risk of consequences. I know that Jamie Saunders, the director of the National Cyber Crime Unit, will be addressing this conference later today, and he will elaborate further on the strategy and the goals of this unit. Overall, we must collectively step up our efforts to disrupt the criminal marketplace and make sure that anyone committing cybercrime against our citizens and companies will be brought to justice. Here in the UK, government will put in place stronger defenses for government systems, installing capabilities that can detect attacks against public services, find where our services are vulnerable to attack, and to fix those vulnerabilities. We will also introduce cross-government IP reputation services, which will warn government websites when they are doing business with what are known to be bad actors. The government is also putting in place a range of actions to allow us to respond to an attack, including offensive cyber capabilities through the National Offensive Cyber Program. As a result, police forces across the world need to work together to ensure that less and less of the world is a hiding place for cyber criminals. Finally, the government will be developing people and businesses with the cyber skills that this country needs, identifying and supporting young people with cyber talent, training them and giving them the diversity of routes into cyber careers, and supporting the best cyber startups. There is considerable work being done across many agencies to strengthen our response to cyber crimes, and we are certainly moving in the right direction. But tackling cybercrime must be a collective effort. Businesses and the public can and should do more. We need to protect ourselves against this cybercrime threat. Individuals and businesses across the UK must act to advise and reduce vulnerability of cyber attacks in the same way that they lock their doors and windows to reduce the risk of burglary. This includes following some basic rules of keeping themselves safe, installing security software, downloading software updates, and using strong passwords, among the few. We have seen a number of high-profile cyber attacks over the last year. For example, the Sony attack at the end of 2014 and the TalkTalk attack last year. A few years ago, mounting a sophisticated cyber attack meant having all the skills that at each stage of this attack required, from gaining access to the network to designing the payload that was to go onto it. But in the past few years, an online marketplace has emerged, which means that all of the elements needed to perpetrate an attack can now be bought and assembled by nearly anyone with a base level of capability and the money to pay for it. So companies need to protect their own networks and harden themselves against cyber attack. And the government is working hard to ensure that UK businesses have the tools to protect themselves. Let me address this next significant challenge, and that is the online abuse of vulnerable people. The ubiquity of internet communications and platforms has enabled offenders to contact children directly. These criminals used to be isolated, but they can now connect, plot, and victimize online alongside of other offenders. Perpetrators are committing child abuse and sexual exploitation on a mass scale, and this is driving new and horrific forms of abuse. Criminals with a sexual interest in children can now pay to watch children being abused, live streamed all over the world. And the children being coerced into producing sexually explicit images of themselves are becoming a major concern, oftentimes having been groomed online by people they have never met in countries far away. Faster internet, anonymous access, and cryptocurrency mechanisms all provide more opportunities for criminals to access illegal sexual abuse images and to participate in online abuse. These are heinous crimes, but given the global nature of the participants, it's not something that one nation can tackle alone. This crime transcends borders, and it requires both global coordinated response combined with robust national response to protect victims and bring criminals to justice. This is why I founded We Protect. We Protect is a global, coordinated, multi-stakeholder response to combating online abuse and exploitation. It involves over 60 governments, technology companies, and civil society groups. And whilst no single partner is more important than the other, it is a fact that developments in technology are enabling these crimes, and we need significant cooperation to tackle them. We Protect seeks to galvanize global action to empower everyone with a responsibility to protect children online, to identify and protect victims, and to remove child sexual abuse material from the internet. And its success depends on the ability to bring a range of partners together with a single mission to eradicate online child sexual abuse. Following commitments made in 2014, the summit held here in London, the Internet Watch Foundation now has shared over 19,000 hashes, or what are called digital identifiers, of child sexual abuse images known to UK law enforcement with the 5 largest technology companies in the world. These images correspond to hashes that are removed then from these companies' platform. So anywhere where that image shows up, it is identified immediately and removed from the social networking services that people use every day. But we need to go further to develop the technology infrastructure that will allow the sharing of these hashes globally, including increased number of hashes from law enforcement agencies all over the world. At last year's We Protect summit in Abu Dhabi, 63 countries and international organizations signed on to an ambitious statement of action confirming their commitment to tackling this crime head-on and adopting a model national response. Along with global summits, We Protect hosts industry events all around the world involving multinational corporations as well as small businesses to share the tools and techniques for removing child sexual abuse imagery online and for protecting kids from online abuse. Companies who normally compete for market share are coming together and collaboratively sharing knowledge in order to reduce this horrific crime. All of this is driving real and tangible action that is reducing online sexual exploitation, but of course we must do more. Since the start of the We Protect initiative and the partnership that we started with Google, they have seen an 8-fold reduction in the attempts to search for child sexual abuse material online. Microsoft has developed and shared its free photo DNA technology. This helps companies remove thousands of images from all over the internet that appear on their services. This is significant as every image of a child being abused depicts a crime scene. And every one of those images removed, it reduces the chances of that child being victimized again and again. And I'm pleased to say that every day, hour by hour, tech companies all around the world are applying this technology and relentlessly taking down and removing this sickening and illegal content. In addition, a major objective for We Protect is to help marshal the collective efforts of all those dedicated to building global capacity to tackle this crime. So I'm pleased to say that the US, the UK, and the EU Commission have completed a merger of We Protect with the Global Alliance Against Child Sexual Abuse Online. And this week in London, we are hosting our first joint board meeting. This combined organization further strengthens our global efforts to combat online child abuse and exploitation and ensures that the expertise, the influence, and resources to protect children from harm worldwide are unified under a single global organization. We have far more to do through We Protect, but by working in partnership with industry and beyond, we will continue to make the strides to help fight these appalling crimes. Finally, let me turn to the subject of how we work together, how we develop new enforcement ideas and systems that can tackle the continued growth of technology-based crime over the next few years. Domestically, here in the UK, we have created the Child Abuse Image Database known as CADE. This database provides law enforcement with a new effective national system to prioritize analysis of a suspect's devices and to identify the victims of abuse more quickly ensuring cases can be shared with international partners such as Interpol. I'm delighted that this powerful database has now been rolled out across the UK to all police forces, and the National Crime Agency at its core of its commitment to deliver real improvements and to tackle online child sexual exploitation. Recently, for example, the West Yorkshire Police, working in partnership with NCA's CEOP unit, were able to use the CADE system to identify and safeguard an 18-month-old child who was the victim of abuse by a close family member. The database was developed by the Home Office with the input by police, industry partners, and British and international small businesses. And we are pleased with the progress to date, but of course we cannot stop there. As long as one child is being abused, it's one child too many. We will continue to take advantage of new technologies to extend the capabilities and increase the effectiveness of investigations and the success of our prosecutions. Finally, I would like to reiterate that these examples and many more that will be shared with you over the course of the proceedings these next 2 days prove that technology used properly is one of the most powerful tools in preventing crime. We will hear later today from the National Police Chiefs Council who are working to drive the development of digital policing here in the UK, putting in place capabilities for digital public contact and the capture, exploitation, storage, and sharing of digital intelligence and evidence. This will enable improved accessibility of the seamless management of data from creation at an initial contact through investigation, through prosecution and retention. The Home Office has provided $4.6 million of transformational funding to help deliver this digital capability. In conclusion, while we continue to make great progress in reducing and preventing crimes in the physical world, we have to evolve our approaches and capabilities to address these new and evolving digitally enabled cyber crimes and internet-enabled crimes as well. These are indeed very modern crimes that are facilitated by the scale and the ubiquity of the internet, and they go beyond our traditional borders and jurisdictions. We must be at least one step ahead of the criminals to keep people safe, and we must leverage those same technologies in a robust national and global response. The government's ambition is for Britain to be one of the best protected countries in the world. It will give our companies and our citizens the tools they need to stay safer from cyber attack, and it will also create jobs and prosperity. We are making sure that our agencies have the technology, the powers, and the capabilities that they need to tackle the perpetrators of online child sexual abuse and other internet-enabled crimes. Everyone in this room has a part to play, including our international colleagues with whom we continue to work very closely, as this is an issue that knows no boundaries. We owe it to society today and to our children tomorrow to leave the world a safer place than we found it. Thank you for listening, and I hope you make the most of the next 2 days.